Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the critically acclaimed, the Pop the Trunk podcast, now Patreon exclusively sponsored Hall of Fame. Recency Bias Radio, where no one is safe from criticism. With me, of course, is your humble host, Dave Smith, Pretty Boy Smithy, Protocol Paul, Pearl Game Ultra, Smid Dog Trail, The Rant God, Hotep Thanos, Throne Thanos, Metro Kaiba, the Pro Black Prodigy, all of the above on that ISAT test and ACT. You know what it is. And we are here, ladies and gentlemen, to bring balance back to the Big Brother Canada 9 realm once again, Coach. And in this rant, which will be, I believe, my fifth rant of Big Brother Canada 9, entitled Fight Another Day, I will not only be recapping the third episode of Big Brother Canada 9, which just aired last night, I will also give the fans what they want, a quick live feeds update, ladies and gentlemen. So this is going to be a jam-packed rant. You know, at first I wasn't going to do a rant today. I was trying to wait for Josh, because Josh was hyping himself up. Hey, I'm going to blow up Rohan's game, guys. Just tune in. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, Big Brother Canada 9's live feeds are about as inconsistent as BB22. In fact, there's an argument to be had here that maybe Big Brother 22 gave us more feeds than BBCAN is giving us. Now, to be fair here, let's be fair to Global. The feeds are free this season. So if you're going to BS us around, at least we ain't paying for it. It could be a lot worse, Coach. We could be in a situation that we were in BB22 where we were paying good money for CBS All Access, but as you can see, even All Access has been sent to the Shadow Realm these days. Well, anyway, let's get into talking about the strategy. That's what you are here for, ladies and gentlemen. I have seen more than enough information from feeds and the episode from last night to know that production is choosing sides. Production has their favorites, and you are a fool if you believe Latoya is any way, shape, or form one of production's favorites. Based off the edit from the episode a day ago that I just witnessed earlier today, it is safe to say production is putting all their eggs into the Beth and Austin basket. And then when you add the fact that it appears both of those ladies happen to be aligned to Victoria, ladies and gentlemen, it surely justifies my WTF ranking being as good as it was, because I could clearly see that this was a likely alliance to happen, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. My pet got caught up in my room and I had to let her out, Coach. Because one thing I don't need is that distraction. Y'all know how pet cats are, right? They'll be all around your feet just niggling at your calves and your shins all day. It's going to throw me off my element in terms of the rant. So I had to go ahead and get her up out of here. But I'll talk to her later. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we got to discuss some things, okay? Now, production clearly provided a flashback to showcase the Julie versus Josh fight, which happened last week. Now, I was worried they were never going to show this because it would portray Julie in a bad light. Based off how the feed suggested that fight went, they suggested that fight was a lot more incendiary than even what we saw. All we really saw was Julie call Josh a slimy individual. I think she said a lot worse than just that, Coach. But at the end of the day, at least they provided some context as to why Julie had to go no matter what, based off of the type of aggressiveness she showcased towards Josh. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, I mentioned this in my last rant, but if Josh and Latoya are both equally responsible for your demise, why does it seem like Julie decided to fixate all of her anger towards simply Josh? In my opinion, she took the coward's way out, no matter how you choose to look at that. Now, we can agree to disagree on that, and at the end of the day, she's in the Shadow Realm, so it has no real impact on the game moving forward, especially now that Austin is HOH. But it's also important for me to mention that the reason why Austin went to the death versus Latoya in that HOH comp last night is pretty simple. She was super close to Julie. She knew that Latoya was responsible in some way, shape, or form for Julie's demise, and she knew she had to win HOH because with Latoya's HOH, there is a chance she could continue to target all of Julie's allies. All of this holds up, so I'm not mad at that part. However, what I noticed after Latoya lost the comp, let me not even go that far. Kiefer, what were you thinking? As a super fan who has watched this show, Why are you outwardly rooting for Latoya to win this comp when you're sitting in such close proximity to all of those Team Destiny members? Kiefer, that was stupid. That was poor gameplay. And even if you expect it to be thrown up if Latoya lost that comp, it is best for you to show a quiet confidence about yourself to make people believe you still trust them even if you don't talk to them much. In my opinion, in that one competition, Kiefer justified his own nomination. Now, he would have been nominated anyway, but I think he's going to make it easier to be nominated next week and the week after that, as long as someone on Team Destiny consistently wins HOH. This is why Team Defender, in my opinion, they need this HOH on Thursday more than anyone else. Now we can get into the whole Latoya losing to Austin head-to-head in what I call the Hunger Games competition. At the end of the day, say whatever you want. This felt like some Katniss type stuff was popping off. You feel it, dig me, coach? I thought the competition was very interesting. I like endurance competitions that aren't really that aren't designed to help one specific sex. I like it when the competition is kind of brought down the middle and it's fair to the point where, hey, this just happens to do with, can you stay in one position for a long period of time? And once again, this felt like a Survivor competition. They're really drilling that Survivor thesis home to us. Now, what I didn't appreciate was the fact that once Latoya lost, the celebration that commenced from that, once again, it felt a little bit excessive. It felt like the same celebration that Victoria threw when she won the team comp during the premiere for Team Destiny as well. Now, I get it. You all are a team. You all just won a comp on the backs of yet another woman who held strong for you. I get it. All of you are safe this week. But with that said, if this team comp or this team twist were to be scrapped after this week, all of that excessive celebrating can and will be used against you in Latoya's law. Can we talk about it? And at the end of the day, I truly believe this that twist that was all about share or splitting, that had to do with PB&J, that had to do with slop, that had to do with an advantage in the veto comp. I'm worried that this team twist is just consistently making the black players into bigger targets, and it's allowing the non-black players to skate by and actually put together their win conditions off the backs of the hard work of the black players initially. I'll explain this, but hear me out here, okay? Because before we get to that, Beth basically reveals that she has a final 2 deal with Austin. This holds up with what I've seen her talk about on the feeds, and we'll get into that around the feed section towards the end. But just understand, Beth thinks she's hot shit. Beth thinks she's the succubus. Beth thinks she's Helen of Troy. Beth thinks she can start a civil war amongst the black men just because she's willing to give up the sugar walls. So it'll be very interesting to see how that entire strategy unfolds, but we'll get into that in a second like I mentioned. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, then we see Rohan and Kyle admitting that Beth is a terribly hard person to read. Both agree Austin is hard to read as well. Now, for their games, it might be smarter to target women before Jed and Ty, even if Jed and Ty seem like bigger threats on the precipice. Now, if you are privy to the feeds, you know that Rohan and Kyle are very open to targeting Jed and Ty, and Latoya for that matter. And we'll get into that later as well. Now, Rohan 100% believes he is safe with the initial noms. He was wise to believe that. I'm only mentioning this to show that Rohan has a pretty good grasp on the game. Even when he's not being targeted, he knows who's most likely going to be. And even when he became the replacement nom after Kiefer won veto, and I didn't mention that yet, of course. Kiefer has won veto, ladies and gentlemen. I keep forgetting that my last rant was on Saturday before we knew who won the veto. So now that we know for a fact that Kiefer won veto, it makes sense that Rohan would be the replacement nom. Now, but then we see Austin, and this was the conversation that really started to get my gears grinding. And this is what you all come to RBR for. You all want to see me read between the lines and tell y'all what Beth is scared to actually say out loud. Now, peep this. We see Austin asking Beth and Breydon about Latoya with this side face. She's like, what's your thoughts about Latoya? Right? So she's basically throwing her a softball pitch saying, you can shit on her as much as you want, I won't judge you, because she gave her the face of, I don't like the chick, before she asked her for her opinion first. So she's gaslighting her to shit on Latoya. Pay attention there. Now, Beth seems jealous strategically that Latoya has control over the black men, while Austin seems threatened by her physically, based off of what happened in that comp. Now, Beth calls Latoya wild, but there was nothing wild about her game. Everything Latoya has done up to this point has been well documented. She has backed up all of her moves based off context and based off of the actions of other people who have gone against her, to the point where Latoya is set in the idea that Josh has to leave this week, even though Rohan might be the bigger threat to her game long term. She wants to keep her word to Rohan that she wouldn't vote him out. Right? It even got to a point on feeds, and I don't want to get too deep into the feeds talk yet, but there was a moment where there was Kiefer, Jed, it was Kiefer, Jed, Latoya, Beth. Who else was in that back room? I forgot who else was in there, but it was them four at least. I know Tina wasn't there, and Tychon may have not been there. But I know for a fact that those four were discussing the option of just blindsiding Rohan now to protect their six-person alliance long term. Latoya is under the impression, because she has built this reputation of being real and telling the truth and not being a snake, and because she pretty much orchestrated the blindside of Latoya based around the fact that Julie was the snake. This makes Latoya she's kind of forced to play this game of, I gotta have morals at all times. I think this could hamstring her game long term, because there's always going to come an opportunity where you have to be a snake. You got to look out for yourself and your family at some point. Now we're going to get back into that in a second, but the focus right now is still on Beth here, because she's calling Latoya wild, but Latoya legitimately did nothing wild yet up until this conversation. Okay, that's important, because this conversation most likely happened on Thursday night. Now, Breydon says Jed and Ty are obsessed with Latoya. Now, wasn't Bray obsessed with Julie, though? Wasn't his obsession with Julie what hurt both of their games? Why is it okay for Bray to worship non-black players, but then if black players stay on code with each other, they're obsessed, or there's something wrong with them? Or they're called wild for doing it? Huh? Are you all noticing this? Or in Beth's case, she categorized the relationship Jed, Ty, and Latoya has as, it's deep. What does that mean? See, in my opinion, this is someone who's scared to just admit what it is. Now, this is where I'll give Kiefer credit, because Kiefer was the one who actually approached Jed, Ty, and Latoya and told them, hey, you know this house views you three as an alliance, right? And then that's when Jed specifically said, how do they view us all as an alliance? I'm not even around them that much. Or it could have been Ty. Matter of fact, I think it was Ty who said this. He said, how do they look at us as an alliance? I'm not even around Toya and Jed that often. I'm Team Destiny. I'm around Team Destiny the majority of the time. That's when Kiefer had to keep it all the way funky. And you got to keep in mind, Kiefer's Canadian. He's native Canadian. So Kiefer knows what it's like to be discriminated against. So when Kiefer puts Ty on game with how him, Jed, and Latoya are being perceived, understand here, once again, this goes to show why Tamar Braxton and Candy Burris couldn't afford to be so buddy-buddy throughout Celebrity Big Brother US Season 2. They had to play beef and play fight with each other just to make sure all these other white people were off the scent. So black people, we have to basically appear to be off code just so we can be off code, just so we can be on code to make non-black people feel comfortable around us. This is the game we have to play. So when I see certain people questioning black people why they're on code, when clearly they understand why they're working together, they need each other. I mean, let's be real here. If y'all really had Jed and Ty's back as much as y'all claim y'all do, it shouldn't even be a problem that they're that close to Toya. In theory, y'all should accept Toya because Toya keeps it real. Toya ain't sneaky. So what are you really threatened by Toya for? You're threatened by Toya because Toya has influence over these two brothers you can't gain without her leaving the game. So understand, Latoya had every right to feel threatened by Beth and want to replace her with Tera in that six-person alliance because Beth is starting to show herself as a massive threat to Latoya's game. Beth right now thinks she can flirt with Jed and Ty. I'm going to flirt with Jed during the day, Ty during the night, and I'm going to get away with it because I'm Beth. All right? So understand, I'll call her Beth the Berserker right now because she believes can't nobody stop her. That's how she feels. And I think that nickname going to hold on too because Beth the Berserker, it really rolls off the tongue and that's how she plays. At the end of the day, she thinks right now, can no one G-check her? But that's why I'm hoping that Latoya, I know that you probably threw this HOH. You need to make sure you win the next one. You got to make sure Team Destiny feels some smoke next week. Because if this team twist continues and they're safe another week in a row, these people are on fucking summer vacation at this point. It's spring break. Huh? Let's talk about it. It's Freaknik in the BBCAN house for Team Destiny. They can do whatever they want. It's Team Defenders who got to look over their shoulder every 2 seconds. All right? So understand, ladies and gentlemen, it is a complete double standard for Beth, for Breydon, and for Austin to look at Latoya as this bad person. And I don't even mean they look at her personally as a bad person. As a game player, they're trying so hard to paint a target on her subtly without coming off as anti-black. They know how they'll be perceived. Also, keep in mind, during last night's episode, I believe Beth snitched on Breydon. She admitted Breydon is very attractive to Jed. Austin is attractive to Jed. Beth is attracted to Jed and Ty. So do you see what those three's problem with Toya truly is? Toya don't gotta really be flirting with those dudes to have their loyalty. That's jealousy, y'all. That's resentment. Why can't we get their loyalty just from existing like you can? That's what it's all about. So when people try to justify why Latoya is being targeted, if you're trying to tell me what Latoya did to Julie Vu is making her into a target from Austin and Breydon's perspective, and maybe Victoria's, I can smoke a bag of that. But if you're telling me Beth's reason for hating on Latoya is centered around what happened to Julie, that is hogwash. It has 100% to do with these black men. Absolutely. Beth even whispered to herself on feeds and said she's going to try to backdoor Latoya before Final 6. Or maybe it was before Final 7. I can't remember. Either way, we're at Final 13 right now, and this girl Beth thinks her game is so Teflon, she thinks she's already penciled in for Final 7. Now, let me ask y'all this question. If there's a black player that's so sure of their game that they already think they're going to be in Final 7, when there's still another half of the house to leave before that, the majority of fans would say this person's too egotistical and cocky. But because it's Beth, the only young white woman on the cast, you see where I'm getting at here, people act as if she isn't being egotistical or cocky. I'm just showing you all there's a double standard here. See, if Latoya plays the game a certain way and dominates while doing it, people nitpick why they can't stand her. If Beth basically does the exact same thing a week later, people act like it's refreshing. Do you see what's going on here, Coach? Come on, man. I see it. I know y'all see it. That's why I'm going to keep it moving. So, at the end of the day, Breydon says Jed and Ty are obsessed with Latoya, but wasn't Bray obsessed with Julie? Why is it wrong to be on code, but it isn't wrong to hurt your game being around bad players all the time? These people are really pressed just because Jed, Ty, and Latoya won't sell each other out so far. Then Beth says it's something deep that is going on, which implies it's more complicated than it should be, or that being on code is somehow a problem. It seems to me these women are worried that their social game is less effective as long as Latoya is there. Ironically enough, Beth and Austin fear Latoya because she's harder to read, but they are hard to read as well. It's interesting how if a black woman plays too well, how quickly she is labeled a problem. But if Beth and Austin do the exact same shit, they are looked at as good players with no strings attached. This tells me Latoya isn't a production's pet, and that people against her are being groomed as production pets. Latoya brought up a great point during the share-steal twist. If the other team chooses steal over sharing, they are making themselves into bigger targets. Everyone on Team Destiny wants to steal, and Team Defenders clearly want to double share. Now, the Defenders end up sending Latoya as the negotiator because she's built herself up as someone who tells the truth. This made some sense to me. The Team Destiny then sends Ty. Now, initially, they sent Ty to lie. They wanted to steal. Let's make no mistake about this here. So the reason why I hate this part of the twist is because once again, it is designed to make two black people into bigger threats. Because let's think about this for a second. If Ty would have went through with the plan to steal and lie, Ty is the one everyone on Team Defender looks like as the person who lied, not the rest of Team Destiny. So they were setting Ty up to fail. And conversely, by Team Defender sending Latoya over to Team Destiny, and Latoya just ran the game a week ago, it's creating more animosity from Team Destiny towards Latoya. Understand, what these teams did by picking Ty and Latoya, they basically contributed to making them into bigger targets even more. Because if the whole house views them as working together too, you're basically asking two people who you already want to be targeted very soon to continuously be the shield for everyone else. It's the same exact thought process. I was mad that Ty said yes to this. Absolutely. I believe Ty should have said, no, someone else do that shit. Now, I get it. You can't really be the one who doesn't look like they're down for the team because then your target grows even more. And see, this goes back to how right now, Ty, Jed, and Latoya, they're kind of being pushed into a corner right now. And it's going to take some extreme gameplay for them to get out of it. And once again, I'm not trying to make this about race this or race that. I'm just showing y'all there's a complete double standard here. And all of a sudden, Jed, Ty, and Toya somehow being cool with each other is a massive problem. And did you notice how even Beth now is saying Latoya has a crush on Jed? Beth is nowhere near, she is not around Latoya enough to know who Latoya is into. I think this is Beth justifying why she's going to target her down the road by making it seem like they're competing over the same man. Okay? She doesn't want this to look like strictly strategy. She wants this to also look like, hey, I warranted because feelings are involved. You see that? All right, now let's continue. Now, both groups end up sharing, which is great for Ty's game long term because he isn't looked at as a complete liar. But notice how Beth wanted to steal, but she didn't have the heart to lie to everyone on Defenders herself. Same with Tera and Victoria. Now, here's my thing. If Beth is telling us in this episode she's so into Ty and she wants a showmance with him, why would she send him there to maybe ruin his own game? See that? She's playing Ty. She's playing Jed. She's playing all these people. That's why she's willing to conduct herself in a showmance manner, even though before the season she said she would never do it. That tells you in a nutshell that this is gameplay. Because she's not saying otherwise. Now, so them sending Ty to do that should tell Ty he's on the bottom of Team Destiny just because he's perceived to be aligned closer to two defenders. Beth then reveals she has a budding showmance with Ty after admitting Breydon, Toya, and Austin are smitten by Jed. This tells me Breydon called the men obsessed over Toya out of jealousy as well. This shows the self-hate because Bray should be trying to stay on code with those black players to make his game more long-lasting, but instead he's shitting on the black men for being loyal to a black woman. But if those same black men were to do showmances with two non-black women that Breydon happens to be close to, Breydon wouldn't call that obsessed, would he? He would call that true love, wouldn't he? You see that? Understand, they picked these people for a reason, y'all. I let them dig their own graves before I speak on it. You know, everyone says, Dave, you got an agenda. Nope, I waited for him to fuck up. Then I called him out on it. But we all saw this coming, ladies and gentlemen. So, at the end of the day, this further shows why Bray was picked on a season like this. Production knew he would be off code. Exposed, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let's go ahead and get into the feeds talk. That's really all I got from the episode. Now we can talk about the real hot shit going on, okay? Now, on Sunday afternoon, Beth reveals to Tychon that Austin and Breydon asked her who Tychon would nominate if he won HOH. This tells me Beth is more loyal to the original six than she is to Team Destiny. But now that we've seen the edit, she's not loyal at all to the original six than she is to Team Destiny. Beth could care less. She got a final two deal with Austin. That revealed in the episode is why you got to watch the episodes, because there are some certain things you will see in the confessionals that you just will not see on feeds for a lot of reasons. So in my opinion, even though this may have been my take on Sunday, I even have to revise my take from Sunday based off what we seen in the episode last night. Now, it also appears based off this conversation that Josh is done no matter what this week. Now the Six is realizing Kyle may be the biggest threat to their games, and since Kyle, Rohan, and Tera are the only three players not included in both six-person alliances, it's safe to say they are the biggest threats to both groups over Josh. This is what leads to Jed mentioning blindsiding Rohan is the better move because allowing Rohan and Kyle to stick together could ruin what they have in the Six. Josh's chances of actually ruining what they have is a lot less likely than Rohan. And that's because Josh doesn't really have anyone, right? This is the reason why a lot of people are actually hoping Josh can stay this week. Now, unfortunately, the way feeds have been down all day, I have reason to believe that Josh is hurting his game even more, and they don't even want to show it. They don't want to showcase the train wreck. Now, the biggest hurdle here is Latoya, who promised Rohan she wouldn't vote him out. So Toya believes they need to get Victoria and Tera on board with evicting Rohan, but she wants to still vote out Josh to throw the rest of the house off the scent. Now, clearly, because in the last rant I brought up to you all that Tera is clearly working in lockstep with Rohan and Kyle, this was poor gameplay for Latoya to believe Tera would ever vote out Rohan over a Josh. She should have known better, but once again, this was on Sunday. Now, granted, I still think she should have known better before that Sunday because she was talking to Tera before that, and Tera was speaking highly of Rohan and Kyle prior to that. And at the end of the day, she should be trying to link herself to that 3 because that 3 is a 3 that Beth isn't included in. Now, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Tera, Rohan, and Kyle offered an alliance of 4 to Latoya. Latoya said no. Or she said she has to think about it. Either way, the indecisiveness that came from her reaction to their proposal, it led them to recruiting Tina into their 4 over her. This gives Tina immense power over Latoya moving forward because Tina is aware of Latoya not trusting Beth. Tina is aware that Latoya would love to trust Tera more. Tina has too much information that she can use that's in her pocket against Latoya, and Latoya will never be able to suss out Tina is behind it because that 6-person alliance included Beth in it, and Latoya already told them, I would love to vote out Rohan, but I gave him a promise. And because Latoya is making this week all about Josh's transgressions towards her that involved Julie Vu from a week ago, this week is all about evicting Josh, which makes Latoya believe she's in control, but in reality, it's a false sense of security that I talked about. You know, I was really worried that Latoya had getting her way in such a dominant fashion week 1, it could lead her down the wrong path of believing she will continuously get her way. I believe Tina is slowly but surely, she's getting her way, and she's allowing Latoya to believe it's her way. This is what makes Tina very, very dangerous in this game. And in my opinion, personally speaking, Austin is showing herself to be, I'm not going to say she's a massive flop. I'm just saying the way she went about this HOH week was so conservative and so scary that, look, I think this HOH week did good for her from the perspective that, okay, Rohan most likely won't leave this week. Most likely Josh will leave. Everyone will look at Austin's HOH week as a week that didn't piss off too many people. It will allow her to blend back in with the rest of the house. So from that perspective, I can't knock her. But I feel like she didn't do enough with this HOH week to really establish newer relationships with other house guests to make herself into a bigger threat moving forward. All she did was reconvene the same siege mentality with Breydon, Victoria, and Beth. In my opinion, all she did was replace Julie Vu with Beth. That's all it looks like to me. So from my point of view, I feel like Austin didn't do enough with the power she had this week. I feel like she made the target into Josh and Kiefer because those were safe picks, and then Rohan was the obvious replacement nominee, being a team defender, right? But I think her reluctance, well, at the end of the day, she couldn't really target anyone on Team Destiny anyway, so in reality, she didn't really have no choice. I think she was super scared of going for Latoya, considering the fact that HOHs can't compete in the veto. I think the majority of players are going to try to backdoor these black players because they're going to be too terrified of not being able to compete versus them in the veto as well. They feel like, oh, I threw them up just so they could win the veto easily. So in this case, you're going to see a lot of black people this season. If they do go out, I think it's going to be by backdoor because, unfortunately, I think the way the rules are set up, it incentivizes beta female and beta male gameplay. Unfortunately, it is what it is. Now, so I pretty much already mentioned that. Then we get it. But then as the conversation continues, they mention how Austin will react to Josh being kept over Rohan. Toya and Beth both seem to want Austin gone, and Jed isn't defending Austin at all here. Now that we know that Beth has a final 2, this is clearly Beth playing Toya, making her believe she's not that close to Austin. This also shows Beth going up to Tychon about the conversation Austin and Bray had with her regarding Ty. Clearly was Beth once again trying to work her way in to those black people's sub-alliance. That's her goal. But at the end of the day, I personally believe Latoya, because she already sussed you out as someone she can't really trust, I think Latoya, just like Beth, I think they're playing a very similar game of we're not going to reveal our hands, But at the same time, we're going to keep staring at each other and keep each other close because we both can figure out we're both just as dangerous as each other. This is why something has to give, ladies and gentlemen. I think the odds of both Beth and Latoya making jury are slim to none based off how both of them are playing this game right now. If only both of them realized that they could pretty much work well with each other and steamroll. Matter of fact, I'd argue Toya and Beth, if they were to work together, they could both get Tina out. But once again, Tina is close to both of them. So, at the end of the day, neither one wants to shit on Tina to the other because then the other will run to Tina and make the target out of that one. So it creates this dichotomy where everyone is kind of in quicksand kind of this week, where everyone knows what's going to be done by Thursday, but no one really wants to really pivot that hard until Thursday because they don't know who's going to be in power. So on feeds, it kind of feels like they're like not the Walking Dead per se, but they just seem to be they don't have the same energy they had week one, in my opinion. I feel like these people look like they've been in the game for 6 weeks already, the way they're reacting to the game right now. They look a little jaded already. That's never a good sign. And to let you all know, on feeds earlier today, they locked everyone in the HOH room for some reason. Now, rumors are suggesting that there were people who came in to either fumigate or paint walls based off the smell. We don't know if that's for certain. A lot of house guests are speculating that there will be some players from BBCAN9 brought into the game, possibly. And there are some people that are even kind of paranoid that maybe production could have brought those players in to spy on them within the house, and they don't know if they're in a secret room. I'm just saying that now to go ahead and set the table. So that's what's going on there. Now, Jed agrees that they can't afford to keep taking out the weak because eventually the strong will come for them. Toya needs to put on her big girl pants, in my opinion, and vote out Rohan with the rest of the group. For her to be okay with it but not want to vote him out, she is telling her alliance she doesn't value them enough because she's willing to risk their game before hers. And she's giving Beth multiple opportunities to see where her weaknesses are as a social player as well. Tychon clearly believes he owes Beth a favor for her telling him intel on Bray and Austin, so now Beth is more of a threat to Toya than she was a few days ago, because she may have shown Tychon another path to pivot down. Whenever women provide this for Tychon or Jed, Toya tends to target that lady, so it'll be very interesting to see what happens on Thursday night. And when Beth got some alone time to herself, guess what she did? She said as long as she gets to the final 7, she plans on backdooring Latoya and keeping Austin in her pocket moving forward. So the information she ran to Ty was all strategic to make them believe she's loyal to the soil, when in reality, she doesn't want nobody black anywhere near final 6 besides Breydon and possibly Victoria. Not only did Beth admit to wanting Toya out, she also believes if she flirts with Tychon at night and Jed during the day, she could keep both of these men in her pocket. This shows Beth is here to play, and my WTF prediction of her deserving a high score because I thought she had a unique skill set in her social working past to counter Latoya's cop abilities is starting to come to fruition. Their rivalry should be very interesting moving forward. It's amazing how Latoya can suss out who her next big threat will be before they even admit to it. Kiefer also told Tychon that the house views him, Jed, and Toya as an alliance because they were black. I already mentioned that. I won't rehash it. Now, let's get into Monday's feeds. Now, on Monday, everyone was aware Josh might try to blow up the game on Tuesday, but the house was convinced it wouldn't work. Oh, my fault. This is Tuesday. And since feeds never came back on during most of Tuesday morning and afternoon, this tells me Josh went off again just like he did the first week. Something is going on between Beth and the black players. It feels like Beth wants Tina to turn on Toya, Ty, and Jed because she plans to as well before Final 7. It also feels like Beth wants to divide and conquer with Ty and Jed by flirting with both to create animosity between both men. I personally don't believe Beth has the tools to make both of these men break up with each other as an alliance, but Beth probably is getting more confidence based on how poorly Austin is playing the game with Jed, and based off the fact that Jed isn't reacting to, in her mind, Latoya's choosing signals, right? So Beth seems focused on getting Austin and Tina to work with her at some point to target Toya, Ty, and Jed, but it feels like Tina is more loyal than Beth is. Breydon has definitely learned his lesson from week 1 to a degree because now his game has become more social to the entire house. But he hasn't made enough progress in the game, in my opinion, because Kiefer and Tera still view him as just as much of a threat as before, because he's even more inseparable now from Austin than he was from Julie. Based off this conversation, Tera and Kiefer don't like Jed and Ty bragging about their sexual escapades either. They also don't want to reward anyone with the win who doesn't need the money. This tells me the Cool Kids Alliance may have made a mistake of convincing everyone they already have plenty of money. That's something for us to pay close attention to as well. If there happens to be a member that people consider part of the Cool Kid 6, sitting next to someone who wasn't included in the Cool Kid 6, it's highly probable at this point for me to suggest that the cool kids will not be rewarded with the win at the end unless they're sitting next to another cool kid. I think that the jury most likely is going to reward someone based off who needs it the most. And when you add the fact that Jed may have made a mistake earlier last week or earlier this week, admitting that his parents are very well off. He also admitted that his business is making good money. He could have rubbed people the wrong way there. Breydon talking about living in downtown, I forgot what city he talked about living in, but he gives the impression that he's well off here and there with some of the things that come out of his mouth as well. So that's something for us to pay close attention to as the season moves along. Tera now is in a 4-person alliance with Tina, Rohan, and Kyle. So now Tina has another strong alliance in the game, and Tera is growing within it. So the alliance I assumed Toya would be included in, Tina got in first, and that was because Toya didn't want to be in it first. And this isn't a good sign for Toya, Ty, and Jed, because in every direction, opposition appears to be getting stronger. Excuse me. Kiefer appears to be the most loyal to Jed, Ty, and Toya, because he at least will tell them how the rest of the house perceives them. As for everyone else, Beth is plotting their demise, Tina is working with people plotting their demise, Bray and Austin are in their own world, hating on Latoya. Also, Rohan and Kyle seem to want the smoke from Ty and Jed. At the end of the day, Coach, it feels like the walls are closing in. It really does. Someone black not named Breydon or Victoria needs to win HOH on Thursday. That's the only way I see all three of them making out of the week. Unless, of course, we get someone from BBCAN9 thrown into the mix and the team twist is scrapped altogether. Then that might be enough to make everyone go, all right, hold up. Are we sure we want to target these folks because this person might be more of a production vet pet? I'm not sure. But judging by the way Beth and Austin are playing, I'd see them rallying behind a returning player just because of the position they are in. I'd see them doing that in a heartbeat, but we'll see. So the only thing that can save them is if someone wins HOH or if someone from BBCAN9 comes into the game. And based on how production locked everyone in the HOH room this morning, it's heavily speculated that something big is happening this week. Whether that does or doesn't, I don't know. But yeah, so at the end of the day, when you really look at it, Tina is in 3 very strong alliances. She's in one group of 6, of course. She's also in a Mighty Mill alliance with Rohan, Kyle, and Tera. And she's also in the Women of Destiny alliance with Tera, Victoria, and Beth. I think she is by far the person in the best position, but I already said she was in the best position. I think Latoya may have made a mistake giving her even better positioning. And that's why I think Latoya is going to go all out for this next veto. If I had to guess, somebody is getting backdoored next week or Tina controls next week by targeting someone not in her alliances. The only people not included in any of Tina's strong alliances is Bray and Austin. When you really look at it, those are the only 2 people Tina does not have a tangible alliance made up with. So, honestly, for Tina's game, she might believe Bray and Austin are the biggest threat. Now, it looks as if Tina's deal with Tera, Rohan, and Kyle might be a little fake because Tina's even throwing it out there that, hey man, one of Rohan and Kyle might need to go next week. So I think this is Tina just safeguarding her 6. I think she is covering her blind spot. And I think this is once again just another example of how Tina's going to be a very difficult person to get out of this game. Because if you have all of these people willing to run through a brick wall for her, what are you going to do? She already has the strongest team that she picked, so they're all endeared to her. It's going to be really tough. It's going to be an uphill battle trying to take out a Tina. It's going to be a very uphill battle. So that's my thoughts on that. Now, from a process of elimination standpoint, it makes the most sense for Tina's game to take out Breydon to have Victoria more to herself. If she can take out Breydon, she could also gain Austin as a number down the line, just like Beth plans to. But other than Breydon, everyone else can be used by Tina, so I fully expect her to throw the next HOH. And ladies and gentlemen, that's where I'm going to leave you all before Thursday night's episode. Now I'm ready to answer some questions, Coach. What are y'all thoughts about how this game is shaking down, both on feeds and based off the edit in last night's episode? I would love to get some type of a back and forth going. My apologies for not having a rant last night. That was my off day, Coach. I was enjoying myself. You feel it, dig me? I knew Tuesday would be a dead day, and I know I got the challenge rant coming for the patrons tomorrow. So in my mind, I was like, let me give BBCAN, let me give him some attention today, because I ain't gonna be back around until Thursday. I thought it was just the right day to give y'all some love. You feel me? So let's see what these questions looking like. New Mail says, I agree, Tina is in a great position. Everyone loves her. Absolutely, New Mail. I never knew Tina would have such a soft-handed approach towards the game. I thought she was definitely going to be more aggressive, more coarse with her approach. But man, I mean, she could teach a course the way she's dominating this game. You really dig me, Coach. I got to give her credit. Maybe they clean the ball pit. Possibly. I remember seeing Victoria lose a slipper in that ball pit. But I think there could be an opportunity for them to possibly hide a veto in that ball pit. Hide something secret in that ball pit. How do you bring a ball pit into the game and not incorporate it into a twist at some point? It's coming. We just don't know when. Robert Scott asked the question, could Big Brother 8 players redraft teams from Secret Room? Ooh, now that is interesting. That is I like that. Because in reality, it resets the game. It forces these players to pick people based off who they already know looks like they're aligned. They could systematically go out of their way to divide, right? Oh, this person looks cool to him. Okay, I'll pick them, you pick that. In theory, that could work if you had Brooke and Sheldon behind that door. In theory, it could work. Not following this season, but tapping in, Coach. Shout-outs to you, Jay. I see you, Coach. Devin Bay says Tina is the main reason the flip on Rohan might not happen. Exactly. And see, that's the thing. I believe, for now, Tina is loyal to that four-person alliance, but I believe heading into next week, Tina does not want to lose Latoya before she's willing to lose a Rohan or Kai. In my opinion, I think she sees that Latoya is being blamed for Tina's great game. Well, she's not being blamed for Tina's great gameplay, but in theory, the quicker they get rid of Latoya, the easier it is for everyone to notice what Tina's doing. Tina has to realize that Latoya has to stay longer to allow her game to work more effectively behind the scenes. That's at least what I'm hoping for, and that's what I expect. RHAP keeps going in on Latoya. What else do you expect, Carl? What else do you expect? I'm just going to put it that way. Have you ever seen that platform be that pro-black? That's a serious question. I mean, it's rhetorical, but I'm just saying. I mean, how many times do you really see an alpha male straight black man on that platform? That's all I have to say. CK says, I don't know if you covered it already, but how do you feel about the House meeting if you saw it? You're talking about the one that involved Julie fighting with Josh. I'm assuming that's what you mean, CK. Yeah, I saw it. I thought it was interesting, but once again, Julie calling someone else slimy when in reality her game is not that much different from Josh's, it's laughable. At the end of the day, what makes you not slimy? What makes him slimy? If you ask me, you're both on Nickelodeon gas. You feel it, dig me, Coach? Y'all both are on the Legend of Hidden Temple, Coach. You know what I'm saying? Y'all both getting slimy in these streets. And those references was top tier. If you caught it as a 90s baby, you caught it. Daphne Kamka says, did you hear about the House meeting? Oh, someone else asked the same question. This must be a different House meeting y'all talking about. Because I thought the House meeting was the one on the episode last night. Can you please, in the comment section, provide more context as to what happened in this House meeting? Because I could give y'all a live reaction to what y'all saw. Because I ain't see what y'all saw yet. I'm thinking. I thought that Tina wasn't really rocking with Beth like that. See, here's the thing. I don't think Tina, the only person I think Tina legitimately rocks with hard body is Tera. I think the rest of them is expendable to a certain degree because the rest of them are in that cool kid section, which Tina ain't allowed in. So in Tina's mind, I think she wouldn't mind that cool kid section getting targeted ASAP. It's just hard for her game to target the cool kids immediately because when you look at how the cool kid section shakes down, majority of them are Destiny, right? You got Beth, Tychon, Victoria, Austin. Yeah, that's already 4. So yeah, the majority of them are Destiny. For Tina's game, The cool kids don't got to be attacked just yet. I think in her mind, though, Breydon is someone, if you were to get rid of him, it would force Victoria to cling more to Destiny long term, as opposed to having the option of flipping with Defender as soon as the team choice is gone. Tina's keeping that in her head, in my opinion. Do you think Beth has Allison Irwin capabilities? Allison Irwin. Which Allison we talking about? That last name throws me off. Allison Irwin. This sounds like somebody I should know. Allison Irwin. I'm sorry, that last name it's escaping me. Tyler really needs to be careful getting entangled with Beth. I agree with that wholeheartedly, Chris Adams. All right? Hold up real quick. This is what I want Ty and Jed to understand real quick. Y'all are here for one reason and one reason only, Coach, all right? I didn't want to have to do this, but I got to remind these brothers what they're here for, all right? The patrons, y'all have seen me talk about this before, but at the end of the day, this is for Ty and Jed. Don't lose focus, Coach.
Consciousness over coochie. Politics over punani. I keep telling y'all that. Consciousness comes before coochie.
Facts, man. All right? Don't lose track of what you got to do, man. At the end of the day, man, y'all can get any chick y'all want outside this game. Now, for strategically, it makes sense for y'all to flirt around and stuff like that. Oh, okay. Oh, so Daphne, you're saying, okay, so the meeting happened earlier today. I must have missed that, Miss Daphne, because earlier today I was watching feeds for a long period of time, but feeds kept cutting. And every time someone mentioned having to be wrangled in the HOH room for a certain amount of time, production was like, you're not allowed to talk about production. And then it got to a point where feeds were down for hours at a time, and I just kept, man, eventually you got to go back to your life, Coach. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, look, man, I ain't a spring chicken like I used to be, where I could sit by the feeds all day with no life. Like, now it's got to be lit or I'm gone. You feel it, dig me? I'll rewind that thing. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna definitely check out that meeting. Darrell Maddox says, Peace King, thanks for your great perspective as always. Thank you for showing up, Coach, to show me some support. And ladies and gentlemen, please do not forget to smash that like button for the kid. Please. I appreciate it. All right? And of course, do not forget to comment and share it as well. It helps me in the algorithm more than you know. Even if all you comment and say is, I like this rant. Even if you just say that much, it's good enough. I'm not asking for you to type a whole essay, Coach. I'm just saying, just try to leave a comment, leave a like, because it helps other people who may have been unlikely finding this channel to find it just as y'all did. And I think y'all can agree, when you come across this channel, it really changes the way you view the game. There's no way you watch my channel and then you go back to watching Big Brother the same way. It's just not possible. Because now you're like, oh, I'm noticing that. Oh, I'm peeping game on the music. The musical choice they're using in the background. They're not rooting for this person. Before you know it, you start seeing things you didn't see before. Absolutely. Whitney says, apparently Josh exposed Austin in the house meeting. Uh-oh, wait a minute, Coach. See, hold up, man. I need a video. Wait, hey, man, no one got the video to this? Man, where LilyShefani at? All right? It's lit right now. Yeah, hey, man, listen. If I was in the game and I heard a house meeting was being called, I'd be like, y'all, man. Hey, no cap. I got diarrhea right now, B. I'll be in the bathroom. Y'all handle that, though. I do that every time. You ain't finna tell me how my stomach feel. No. I'm not gonna be there when all that crossfire pops off, all that crossfire action. I'm not getting hit with a stray. That's not gonna be my destiny. You feel it, dig me? I can't go, Coach. Oh, BBUS 4 Allison. Oh, you're talking about the Allison that flirts a lot. Okay, I see what you're... No, I don't think Beth in any way, shape, or form is as fierce as that Allison was. Sorry. That's just my opinion. Yeah, I think that Allison was a whole nother level. Whole nother level of monster. And I mean that in a good way. I believe her threat level usurps Beth's. But I think Beth can benefit from the fact that she comes off a lot more innocent than Allison did. So maybe it will work just the same for her. The difference is, I think Allison would have an easier time flirting with men of any color quicker than Beth. Personally, I think she would just find it a lot easier. But with that said, I think Beth could find it a lot easier after she screws over a guy to make that blow feels a little bit more softened. She can figure out a way, in my opinion, of making it seem more innocent than Allison could. I think Allison is more likely to own what she did, and that's why she couldn't win, right? But I don't really think their games are that similar. I don't like to compare women just because they're easy flirts. I try to look at their strategic side, and I just think Allison, from a strategy standpoint, I just think she was a better player. I think Beth right now is benefiting from the fact that she's the only young white lady on the show. So it helps her immensely, right? I think Allison, there was plenty of other young white women on her season. She just stood out, right? I think if you put Beth on that season, you put Allison on this season, Allison still can play the same way. Beth on that season doesn't stand out like Allison did. Caitlin says, very true. She might have it posted. Anyone know the time frame and cameras of the House meeting? Just general how it happened. That way I could find it on the channel. I remember Allison said one time, the black guys love me because I have a big ass. Yeah, here we go. There we go. You know. And let's really keep it all the way funky in these streets. I noticed Beth in that HOH room doing all that nonsensical dancing. And I was thinking in my head, why is she doing all? Is she trying to work out in this room? What the hell is she doing? But now that it's made it on the edit on TV, now we see production said, hey, do something so we can put you in the edit. Having fun. So it's just little stuff that production will do for non-black players to make them more likable that they won't do for the black players. They're okay with the black players being viewed as too serious, not lighthearted enough. They won't ask them to do those type of things to look more lighthearted. They might ask a Victoria to, because that's her archetype. But they're not going to ask Latoya to, because in their minds, she won't even do it if they ask. So that's really the problem here, right? I'm still optimistic about how the season could go, but I'm starting to see, like I said before, the leopard doesn't change his spots too much. And at the end of the day, I'm already starting to see them just prop up certain people, and they're gaslighting them to believe that the black players are the problem. The black players are the obstacle. The black players are the speed bump. When in reality, y'all all can play well together. It just feels like y'all don't want Latoya around because then your lack of mouthpiece gets exposed. That's all I'm saying. And let's keep it real. I think they're going to keep this team twist around longer to get Ty to get more caught up with Beth. Because if the team twist gets scrapped and Ty don't got to sleep in the same room as Beth, now he has less of a reason to be with her at night. Now Beth's game is a little bit harder to pull off. Production clearly wants her game to work, so they're going to keep the team twist around longer. Come on, man. Let's just do the quick math. But not of the House meeting. See, that's the thing. I've never seen anyone show these clips of this House meeting. This is all new to me, ladies and gentlemen, and I apologize for not being privy to this information because I'm over here just trying to see what's happening with Josh throwing Rohan under the bus. But now that I find out Josh threw Austin under the bus, that changes a lot there because it makes me think, what made him pivot? Is this Josh's way of playing the Godfrey game of just saying, hey, if y'all keep me, I'm coming after Zach with these Hans? Is this Josh's ploy of pulling off a Godfrey? I think coming after Austin, though, you're guaranteed to have Victoria and Bray vote against you. But if he views that side as the side that everyone hates post-Julie's eviction, he might be banking on, if I bash Austin, it may have a residual effect to me bashing Julie. Latoya might jump on board with this, even though Latoya clearly won't because she wants you gone, Josh. But this could be going through Josh's mind. I'm just trying to give him a voice, right? Where are scenarios when you need them? They always cover. I don't know what happened to scenarios, Coach. You know, they could have been sent to the shadow realm momentarily. One of the black players definitely have to win the HOH this week. Yeah, I think it's pretty much integral to all of them making jury. They can't afford to choke this week. You know what I'm saying? But ladies and gentlemen, this has been my 5th Big Brother Canada 9 rant, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have all enjoyed this. My apologies once again about not being privy to that meeting. But you can be sure that on Thursday night's episode, we're going to discuss that meeting because now I'm going to do a lot of research and take a lot of notes on it. But ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have enjoyed the 5th rant of Big Brother Canada 9 entitled Fight Another Day, recapping both the 3rd episode of the season and giving you all a live feeds update, setting you up nicely for Thursday night's live eviction episode. If you enjoyed this rant, please do not forget to hit the like button, comment underneath the video for allegorical well, not allegorical, but algorithmic purposes. And please share this with all the fans of Big Brother Canada that you rock with, Coach. Outside of that, I have nothing else to require or request of you. You all have done a fantastic job by just lending me your ear, and I couldn't ask for anything more than that. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and I will see you all in a couple of days. Until next time, the Stones, they have a mind of their own.